Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Spread Channel. This is today's story. Do you believe in karma? If so, this will be by far one of the most satisfying karma ending story you will hear. I hope you enjoy it.
Immediately he knew it was going to be a long day. As if moving building materials up a hill wasn't hard enough, he now had to deal with a legitimate woman who refused to move her car. He considered calling the police, but that would take valuable time from his work. Then, when the woman continued to dismiss and condescend him, that mad genius came up with a brilliant idea. This woman wanted to regret ever parking there. It's not like he asked for all this trouble. He had been hired as a foreman building a new house, which he had done many times. But this project was different. The house they built was on the top of a hill, and the only way to get there was by a 250-foot walk. This, of course, made their job difficult, especially when it came to educating materials. Fortunately, there was a saving grace. 2 parking spaces on the street at the foot of the hill were reserved for the construction site. 2 official no parking signs were installed to prevent anyone from leaving their car there. Unfortunately, the signs didn't stop everyone from parking illegally. There was an elementary school half a block from the base of the hill, and the foreman soon discovered that the parents used these parking lots a lot. But that didn't bother him very much until one day. Whenever he saw a parent park in one of his reserved spaces, he said nothing, as long as there was no truck to park or a scheduled delivery. And when that happened, he politely asked them to move, and they did it right away, at least most of the time. On the day in question, the foreman received a call from a timber supplier informing him that he was on his way. So he went to check if the parking was available, and then he saw it. An idling car was parked in one of the reserved spaces, and he saw that there was a woman in the driver's seat. The foreman assumed she was waiting there for her child to leave school. He went to her window and asked her heartily to move her car. The woman replied mockingly, "I'm only a few minutes and your truck is not here. Take a chill pill, guy." And when the foreman processed the rude remark, the log truck arrived. The foreman thought that when the truck arrived, the woman would move her car and let her park. But all she did was roll up the window and try to ignore him. When he waved to her to get her attention, she rolled it down halfway and called "wet." This time the foreman said in a stronger tone that the truck needed space to park, and then she said something that left him speechless. "Can't you just unload around me?" "Jesus, it's not that difficult," said the woman dismissively. The foreman was amazed at her rudeness, but what she said gave him an idea. He went to the truck driver and told him to park his truck parallel to the woman's car and as close as possible to it. The driver smiled and understood what the foreman was up to. This woman was just about to get a taste of her own medicine. Behind the woman's car was the builder's potty, and there was another parked car next to the 2 reserved parking spaces. The log truck now blocked her side, effectively punching her next to the curb. The woman did not notice, however, as she was too busy pretending to ignore the construction workers who had just forced her to park in the middle of the street. But there was one more thing the foreman had to do. The foreman called the police department to inform them of the problem. At the time, I wasn't trying to get them into trouble. I just wanted to record why we blocked part of the road so we wouldn't get into trouble with the city, he wrote. The officer told him that she would be there in 30 minutes, but she just wasn't fast enough. When the woman's child appeared and all hell broke loose. The woman tried to get out of her car to greet her son, but the door did not open fully. At this point, the foreman expected the woman to finally understand the situation she had gotten herself into and try to correct it. But instead she had the gall to stare at him, as if this was somehow his fault. Her ineffective anger would have been weird if she hadn't done what she did next. She climbed awkwardly to the passenger seat and stumbled out. After loading the child in the back of her car, she went to the foreman and driver, who held back their smiles. It seemed as if the woman had only just realized that the workers would not back down. She looked at the scene angrily. In front of her was a car, on the left a huge truck, in the back a potty, and on the right a curb. Now she was angry. "I'm in a great hurry. You have to move your truck immediately so I can go," she barked. But the truck driver had a comeback that made her shiver. "Ma'am, to unload the wood on the truck we had to unbuckle it, and our company policy is that I am not allowed to move the truck with an unsecured load," replied the truck driver, trying not to laugh. But neither the foreman nor the driver yelled at the truck driver with profanity. "I have to be somewhere," she roared. But without her knowledge, the traffic officer who took the foreman's call had arrived and parked behind the truck. The foreman, who remained perfectly calm while the woman yelled at him, replied sweetly. But his caustic answer made the woman see red. The foreman said to the woman with a smile, Can't you just move around? It's not that hard." The angry woman cursed him and stormed back to her car to climb back into the passenger seat. As the officer approached the foreman and the driver, the woman slammed her car backwards and stepped on the gas. She spun her wheels before pulling back into the potty behind her and knocking it over with a bang. But she wasn't finished yet. Then she stormed forward to cross the sidewalk. The three spectators couldn't believe what they were seeing. Her smile turned to confusion as she climbed the curb. "What did you do?" The woman's attempt to escape her park jail failed when her car got stuck halfway up the curb. But their misfortunes did not end there. The officer quietly went to her and asked her to get out of the car. As soon as she was outside, she was handcuffed and had to sit on the curb when the officer asked for assistance. But she wasn't done with being a terrible person. The woman knew she was in big trouble and tried to work the situation in her favor. She lied to the police officer and said the foreman did not ask her to move but told her to stay in the parking lot. But the officer didn't have it. She told the woman that she got the first call from the foreman when she refused to move and knew exactly what was going on. The woman was doomed. While the driver and me are giving the second officer a report, my boys finish moving the rest of the wood and the driver finishes his testimony and makes his way back to the yard, the foreman recalled. At the end of the ordeal, she was arrested, charged with reckless driving, destroying property, the porta potty, and driving with a suspended license. Her car was towed and her son's grandmother had to come and pick him up while the woman was taken to prison. I never expected her to take my advice, just pull out. But I think next time she'll probably think twice about parking in a tow zone, in case she ever gets a driver's license again, the foreman concluded.